Okay, I'm so excited. I'm actually even super red today. But you are one person that I know you through social media since I can tell you since when. Always admire you, working for small weddings, elopement all around the world in the most epic places, and we want to know everything about it. Also, you are a mom and you are a wife, and everything we want to know about you. Abby! What? Did I say right?
Yes.
Abby? Okay.
Oh my gosh, that was
What?
such a nice intro.
No, really. Like I have so much to talk with you, and I want the people know that this is the first time that we talk
Yeah,
like in person.
it is
Crazy?
crazy. I know because we've DM'd back and forth so many times. I feel like I know you, but
I know. Talk about fashion a little bit here and
yeah,
there. But welcome to this podcast without name yet.
so excited to be here.
Where are you now? Where are you
So I'm
now?
at home in Moab, Utah.
Okay, this beautiful land surrounded by amazing mountains and red stones. I'm
Yeah.
dreaming.
Have you been here? You need to
No,
come. Next time you're in the States, make a trip over
please.
here. We'll hang out.
I know. No work, please. And
Yeah,
just hang
no,
out.
just for fun.
Even though you see you two guys, if you have a camera in my hands and I see you two guys, you're so beautiful, such a beautiful
Oh,
family too. And like it's impossible not to
thank
photograph
you. Oh
you.
my gosh, that would be fun.
But not really. I make sure to come. But you're also based in.
So we live
So tell me,
Yeah, we live in Moab
I'm
and
curious.
I'll go back. We've lived on the road for a few years.
Please.
We both grew up in Texas, but just never really felt like that fit our personalities. And it didn't really,
Hmm?
like in Texas, there's not any public land. There's like state parks, but they have a lot of rules and there's not really places where you
Okay.
can like wild camp and explore.
Is it like California with the rules, you think, regulation
I mean,
parks?
it's California has so much. So in the States, like public land refers to federally government owned land, but that we have access to. So
Mm-hmm.
California has a lot of that. 'Cause they have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of national parks and BLM land and all that. Texas has two national parks, but they're really far west. And most of the state is privately owned, where it's like if there's a fence, you cannot go past it. Like you're not allowed to go anywhere.
Wow.
So I
That's
know, it's
crazy.
wild.
This land that is privately owned
Yeah, and,
like
like,
that.
privately owned
That
with
scares
no
me.
easements. Like, I know in Europe, there's a lot of, like, privately owned land that you can still hike on or camp on if you're respectful. Texas is, like, absolutely not. Like, there's just nowhere that you can go.
Not even if you go and then you make a cute
No, I
face?
mean, yeah, no.
No.
It's funny because growing up in Texas, we thought that was just the norm, and so when we went to Utah and there's places that it's public land, but there's a fence because there's, like, cattle roaming, and so you're allowed to drive through and open the fence, drive through, and close the fence. We were like, "This feels so wrong because
Yes.
in Texas, we're, like, scared of getting shot if we did.
They could
Yeah,
shot you?
for, like,
They could?
trespassing.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow, okay.
it's rowdy. I know. Yeah.
So you from there.
Yeah, so we left
Fantastic.
Texas, and we didn't know where we wanted to go, but we wanted to live on the road, so we did van life for a few years, and that's kinda when we our our
I
business.
remember that.
Yeah, and not
When was that
it was,
year?
like, mid-2016 until we bought our
Okay.
first house in Moab at the very beginning of 2019. Yeah.
But I'm curious. So let me take a few
Yeah.
step back. So what do you were doing before taking photos, before being a professional photographer?
So I feel like I'm really lucky that I went straight into professional photography after university.
Okay.
So I went to
Mhm.
school not really knowing what I wanted to do, but I knew I was interested in creativity and art. So my major was
Mhm.
art education. So I actually got certified to teach art
Okay.
to kindergarten through 12th grade. I
Nice. So did you study Italian art too?
No, well, probably a little bit. I mean, I did a lot, and I focused on painting with my studio art side of the degree, so that was
Okay.
really fun. But during that process, I did intern with a wedding photographer in Austin, and I really did working with her. Like, I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed working with couples. Yeah, and I
Fantastic.
really fell in love with photography. That was when I started, bought my first good lens and started, like, taking photos of
Camera.
my dog and my friends.
Okay.
So, I did
Okay.
that. So when I graduated, I basically gave myself 1 year to try and build a photography business, and I said, "If
Mhm.
I can't do that, then I'll get a teaching job." And Callan and I got married really young. I was 20 and he was 22. Yeah, we were
I
babies.
remember. I was there.
Yeah.
I can say I was there.
Yeah, so we got married super young, and he was really supportive of that idea of, "I'm gonna try photography," and at the time,
What he
he
was
was
doing?
working as a drummer in a church worship band. So, he was
Mm.
drumming on Sundays, and then he had rehearsal Saturdays, and then he worked at REI, the outdoor store, during the
Wow.
week just to
Amazing.
make a little bit more money. So,
I can see that on
yeah.
him. I can totally see that
Totally,
on
it
him.
fit him really well, and he loved it, but it worked really well because with that, basically, I spent a lot of my time just really focusing on learning as much as I could from, like, YouTube videos and podcasts and, like,
Yes.
every time a photographer would do, "This is my free guide, and all you have to do is sign up and watch this webinar, and you get a free guide." I did every one of those.
Free guy. Me. Thank you. I mean, you know very
Yeah, I mean,
well.
that was all like, I did every one of those possible, like, signed up for everything and learned as much as I could.
Did you do also second
I did,
photography?
yeah, so I did
Did you do also
from
second
some, like,
photography?
second
Okay.
photography, helping other photographers, and I got my first wedding booking from the photographer that I had second shot for because someone reached out to her and
Mhm.
she was out of budget, so she sent them my way. And yeah, it was
Fantastic.
awesome. That wedding was so much fun. I actually had the week before decided that Callan was gonna second shoot it with me because I was like, I wanna have a second shooter, but I'm not, like, getting paid enough to pay a
Yeah.
second shooter. It was so funny.
Certo.
We bought a camera at a camera store on the way to this wedding. We called the store and we were like, "Can you charge the battery
Fantastic.
on this camera?" Yeah,
Oh
it
my
was
god. He knew how to take photos. He already
he
I mean,
kind of knew.
like
He might have been, like, watching YouTube
okay.
videos about how to shoot manual on the way to this wedding, but he did an amazing job, and
Love
I
that.
went into it thinking, like, they hired me for just me, so anything he does is good, you know?
That's the main
Yeah, so
thing.
he did great, and it was really fun working together, and we kinda decided, "Hey, anytime we can, let's try and shoot together." And I booked a few other weddings in Houston where we were living at the time based on that one wedding
Okay.
and just word of mouth. And, I mean, I did a lot of guerrilla marketing. Like, one of the first weddings that I ever shot after we hit the road that I shot in Yosemite, literally, the way
Mhm.
we booked my very first Yosemite booking was I went to on Instagram, I went to the Yosemite geotag, like, the location tag for Yosemite National Park, and scrolled, and I found this
Photo.
photo of a couple that got engaged there, and I commented, and I was like, "Hey, not to be weird, but I'm trying to build a photography business, like, I have really like, I have, like, entry level prices. If you're considering eloping here, like, I would love to work with you," and they booked me.
This is pure and genuine
Yeah,
marketing here for free for you guys. You're welcome. Really, you did that. That's so smart for a photographer that just starts and maybe what I hear is most of photographers that just focus on getting the best equipment when they
yeah,
start. Instead of you grab this camera and you find the
yeah,
couples because at the end the camera doesn't
yeah,
matter,
and I mean
especially
I
when you
probably
start.
sent, like, that message to, 40 couples, and, like, most of them blew me off, or they were like,
Yes,
"Oh, we're getting
sure.
married back home," or whatever, but the fact that I booked a wedding from that,
Ah,
and then I used that wedding as marketing a ton, I did one of the things I did really well our first official year in business was I learned everything about SEO and I blogged every single wedding and I did just random blogs. Like I for 2 years, I blogged consistently twice a week for 2 straight years. And I would
Wow.
blog anything. Like it
Wow.
was just it was like, this is what I'm thinking about today, like Friday favorites, like all, just everything I could think
Yes.
of. And that was huge for building our website. And then also when I started our Instagram account, The Hearns, I posted every single day for 2 years. And I feel like
You
it was
guys,
essential.
where did you learn marketing? Because you are an artist. So I feel like sometimes artists they don't match with the
Yeah.
business. They need the extra support. That where
I
did you
feel like
learn?
in some ways I got a little lucky in the sense that I just inherently love social media, blogging, online interaction. I don't know what it is, but something about that presence, I love it. Especially back then, it was like something I was so passionate about and I truly had so much fun. Like I looked forward to making an Instagram post every day and I felt like I had all these ideas and I think part of it is that I'm really introverted, but I have a lot of thoughts in my head. And so social media is this way that I can get all these thoughts out in a safe
Let
space,
it
but then I
go.
can like close it and walk away and not have to be like talking to someone about it.
That's a wonderful way to approach social media.
Yeah, I
That's
feel like I just inherently liked it, but also, like I said, like all of those free webinars that I watched. I mean, we were at the time when I started our business, we were in Texas and the like southern wedding industry, like south, I don't know, like the south of the US, that wedding industry is very like
yes,
bright and airy, I don't know, like big weddings and all that, but
yes.
for some reason, like that photography industry was really big on education in like 2015 and 2016. And so there were just like,
I can
yeah,
see that.
endless free webinars, guides, sign up for my mailing list and you get this thing. And I just signed up for all of it and consumed all that I could. And then I feel like I just spent a lot of time figuring out how that kind of information applied to me specifically. And then when
Eh,
we hit the road, so we moved onto the road full time because we wanted to just go live in these places. Like at the time we weren't,
when?
that was mid 2016, like August of 2016.
Okay.
So our lease ended in Houston and,
Goodbye.
like at first we were like, oh, when our lease
What a
ends, like let's
decision.
go and live on the road for 3 months and see how it feels, and we'll go back. And the closer we got to that date, the more we were
Yeah.
like, there's no freaking way we're coming back.
You were scared? Where I go to take
Yeah,
shower? How I have my your closet, your
yeah,
clothes. Imagine me in a van with all the
I
shit
know.
and
Yeah, thankfully at the time,
what did you do? I want to know what did you
so
do?
thankfully at the time, like we were very bare bones people anyway. Like we didn't have that many clothes, didn't have that many things. So that worked out well.
It
Now
is
it would
good.
be very hard. I would be very sad because I'd be like, what do I do with all my jackets? I have so many jackets to choose from. Yeah.
So you were what about what with the food?
Yeah. I mean, we had
You
done
have to be
before we hit
organized.
the road full time, we had done quite a few like week-long or 2-week-long road trips. So I
Okay.
feel like we had an idea of what it would be like, and we knew like where we could fill up
Mhm.
water and where we could go get showers and how to do laundry on the road. I mean, for us, the
Yes.
biggest thing was like at the time, I feel like we weren't that intimidated about road life, but we were really sad to be leaving our friends and family in Texas. Like, as much as we disliked living in Texas
Okay.
and didn't feel that it fit us, we had a really amazing friend group there. And we're both super close with our families. And at the time, our whole families were in Texas still. And I think my brother had moved, but
Yeah.
other than that, like nobody had left.
Yeah, it reminds me, with everybody in Italy for
Yeah.
me. Everybody's here, and that's good. When you move, you are you and your husband, and you're your
Yeah,
husband.
exactly. I mean, it was just us and we had
How was this
what?
life? Was this? How can you keep like you live in a van? It was a van,
Yeah.
right? And you're very. You can go like you argue. Where do you go?
It was very hard at times, but it was amazing. Like, we So I do kind of think that in some ways for us, it was like this fast track to marriage because we were like living in a van, running a business together, really starting a business
Mhm.
together and figuring it all out. So there were definitely challenges, but I feel like in a lot of ways, I don't know. I mean, when I think back on it, I can list the challenges, but I mostly feel this feeling of like genuine excitement and adventure. It was just so fun to us. And it was like,
I'm
it was like the
sure.
first time we felt like we were really chasing something that we didn't know. There weren't people we were looking up to that did it. We didn't know anything about it. It was this like great unknown to us, but so exciting. And yeah,
My
I mean, we just had
gosh.
so much fun. Like when I look back on the photos of the first year,
How
we were so happy because we were
I don't
just
know.
little children out in the world.
It's how do you plan trips? Based on the couples? This is a question that I want to ask you for 5
Yeah.
years ago.
So I feel like
How you used to plan? You go up and down, left and right. Is couple that is chasing you, or you go where couple are getting married? You used to go like with the
yeah.
van. I'm
So when we
curious.
first started, we were just like 2017 was our first full year on the road and the first what we consider the first full year of
Okay.
our business as elopement
Yes.
photographers. So that year,
Mm-hmm.
we just pretty much every inquiry that we got, if we could make it happen, we booked it. So what that meant was like we would be say, yeah, I mean like in
Exciting.
April, we would shoot in Utah and then we would drive to Yosemite and shoot in Yosemite and then we would drive to Washington and shoot in Washington and then go back to Yosemite and then go to Joshua Tree and then go back to Utah and then go back to Washington like we didn't plan for things to be in the same place at the same time. We were just all over the place. It was like if we could technically drive from Utah to Washington in 4 days, then we would book gigs 4 days apart, you know?
Wow, that's amazing. Bravi. How is the drive? Like you switch on the driving? How do you organize on
So,
driving?
when we first started, when we lived in the van, we would switch off. Callan still probably drove like 90% of the time. A lot of that was because, like, he's kind of a control freak in that realm. He prefers to be the driver always, but
Bravo.
also I would do a lot of work while we were driving. So I was just like editing photos, doing
Okay.
Instagram, doing all of that. So that was a big reason that he was always driving and I was always working. But
That's
yeah, I feel
amazing.
like so that year, I mean, I think we drove I think it was like 75,000 miles in a year. Like Callan calculated it and it was like a semi trucker job. Like what like shipment trucks.
Wow.
So, we did that, we shot 55 adventure sessions, like 2-hour sessions, and then I
Wow.
think it was 20 weddings that year, and it
Wow.
was exhausting, and definitely by the end of it, we were like, "We have to do things a little more differently," but it built our
Yes.
business in such an effective way.
Yes.
Like, we got so much portfolio. We built our skills so quickly. We learned so much. I became very good at editing in all kinds of environments. We became very good at shooting in every environment. We were really intimate with all of these places we shot. So by the end of that
Yes.
year,
You have to how
we were like we were good.
no, no,
You
go
know,
keep
like
on
we were
going.
successful. We had a good
The
solid business and kind of since then, I mean, it's always been like, how do we learn and grow? But also, how do we maintain
yes.
what we built up that first year? And how do we make it sustainable for us and make it something that, like,
Yes.
now we're way less focused on like, how do we grow and way more focused on how do we make this job give us the lifestyle we want? And how do we maintain the job to keep doing that as long as we possibly can? Because we love this job, but we mostly love
Yes,
our life,
absolutely.
and we want to keep doing the life we're
Absolutely.
doing and getting to do this job to make that happen feels like a dream come true that we just want to keep maintaining as much as we can.
It's true. No, it's true, it's true. I have so many questions for you. Please, sorry, but you do such a very this job in such a unique way, and I love that. We can all call like we are all photographers, but each one is such a different and inspiring. And my questions like, how do you scouting? Do you always scouting in a place that you never been? Find the right track, find the best way that a bride can walk with the
Mhm.
dress. What if she's cold? What if you are cold?
Yeah.
Please answer to all my
Yeah,
questions.
so I feel like part of it was I mean, living on the road meant that when we were shooting in
Mm-hmm.
Yosemite, especially once we got to the point where we were more condensing stuff, so we quickly learned that we wanted to, if we were gonna shoot in Yosemite in the spring, we'd rather them all be, like, in the course of 2 weeks, so we just stay there versus going back and forth.
Yes.
So, living in the van while shooting in Yosemite for 2 weeks, we'd have, like, 5 to 7 days that we were actually shooting, and then all those other days, we're just living there. And we started to make friends that lived in vans there. Most of our friends that we made in Yosemite were climbers because that was the main at that time, it was mostly climbers that were living in vans, and then we were, like, the oddballs by having a job. Yeah. We made a bunch of friends in that community and just fell in love with the world there. So Callan got into climbing and was climbing a bunch of really fun things in Yosemite on his days off. I was really into like just going on long walks, just sitting in the meadows, looking up at the walls. And I feel like for us,
Mm.
that was so huge in the brand that we built was that we lived in and truly loved and experienced these places firsthand and also did our job there.
Mm-hmm.
So we were not just flying in, taking photos, flying out. So because of that,
Totally.
I got to know the lighting, the weather, the locations, the crowds, the traffic, like all of those factors. We got so intimate with those in every place we did shoot. And we've always preferred to shoot in places that we've already been and to book in places that we already know well. The times that we have booked in places we didn't know as well, it just always felt way more intimidating and a lot more like question mark because we
Yeah.
didn't know like what to do if
Yeah.
a trail was closed or something like that. Whereas right now, where we shoot in
Yes.
Moab, like I know 1,000 backup options if our main option is closed. So
Amazing.
I feel like that was something that we always really loved, and we always kept that core drive of we did this so that we could spend more time in the places we loved. So for us, it was never about just, like,
Absolutely.
booking as many places as possible or taking as many bookings as possible because we wanted the ones that were in the
Yes.
places we really wanted to go to or wanted to spend time in. So it kind of
What was the no, it's kind of please finish.
Oh,
I
yes.
mean, while you
No,
talk, I
you're
want
good.
to ask.
Yeah, I just feel like for us, it kind of became this like we started to build our travel schedule around where we wanted to go. And then we would open that and like book people based on it. So people would reach out to us and say, hey, I want to get
Mhm.
married in Yosemite in 2018. And we'd be like, okay, we'll be there June and October. Here's the dates.
Ah,
Instead of, we
fantastic.
almost never get
Funny.
inquiries that are like, October 25th in this location. And if we do, we usually can't book those because it's just unless it's like very
Okay.
lucky and happens to be where we're going to be, we almost never divert from our personal travel schedule now for a booking. We like book based on where we're going to be or where we want to be.
Fantastic. But it still happen nowadays that the couples send you message, "Hey, are you gonna be here in those days? Are you gonna?"
Yeah, like now it's still very much they usually know like a general location they want and we tell them what dates will be in that place. The only exception to that is when we shoot at Amangiri, that resort in Utah. Usually those are ones that they already have a date picked and we
Yes,
thankfully that's
true.
only a 4-hour drive for us from Moab, so it's really easy for us to fit it in.
It's
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly, like, as long as if we're in Alaska, we can't do it, but when we're in Moab, we can almost always fit it in, and it's a place that I love so much, so I'm always like, "Yeah, we'll do that."
I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. Okay. Which one was the most difficult location that you ever photographed? Oh, I have the answer, but you answer and I tell you what I
Okay,
think.
so actually the most difficult was it's kind of ironic because it was in Hyder, Alaska, which is what our daughter is named after. So
Wow. After we're going to talk about your daughter
yeah.
too. So it was in
Yeah, so it was in
Alaska.
Alaska, and it's this incredibly remote town in Alaska. You can barely even call it a town. There's not a gas station, there's not groceries. You have to drive out to the end of the dock to get service. Like, it's pretty much a ghost town. About 14 people live there, and the only way to get there is
Amazing.
through Canada, which was complicated because it was 2021, so even though there were
Mhm.
vaccines and the pandemic was starting to be more controlled,
Mhm.
Canada still had really
Mhm.
strict pandemic restrictions on US residents traveling in Canada. So, we were able to go to Hyder, but we were not allowed to go, like, back and forth between Hyder and Canada, which it's like usually when you're in Hyder, you go into Canada to get groceries, you go into Canada to get service. So anyway,
Yes.
this
Yes.
location that we wanted outside of Hyder was gorgeous. It's amazing. We love this place. And thankfully the couple we were working with, they were Canadians. So they understood cold, they understood snow, they understood bad weather. But basically
Per
the day like, the week of their wedding was just super cloudy, and a lot of the days leading up to it were,
Mhm.
like, you would drive all the way to this overlook and see nothing, and on a clear day, this overlook is
Wow. Fog? From the
yeah,
fog?
from fog, and on a clear day, the overlook is, like, epic mountains, huge glacier, big icebergs, like, so cool. So, we ended up the day before their wedding, the day before they were supposed to come meet up with us, was going to be clear that afternoon, and we had no service. They were in Canada, we were in the US in Hyder, and I texted them with my inReach device, like my satellite phone, and I was like, "Hey."
Oh,
Yeah, I
your
was like,
satellite
"Hey, if
phone.
you can get ready in the next 2 hours and drive up and meet us here, we're gonna have clarity and we'll be able to get a bunch of portraits today, so that if it's not clear tomorrow for your ceremony, like, at least we have these photos." And they made it happen. They came up, it
Perfect.
was amazing, we got really cool portraits, and then the next day for their ceremony, it was kind of confusing, so there was a time change even though we were only, like, an hour away from each other going from Canada to Alaska.
Really?
So, they got there an hour early when it was still, like, really snowy, but it was pretty cold and snowy, so we didn't wanna make everyone wait in their cars for a full hour. So we did the
Yes.
ceremony in the snow. She's in, like, a strapless dress, and it is actively snowing on her. It was beautiful, but it was really cold. And, I mean, they had such a good attitude about it, their families had such a good attitude, like, it was a really fun day, and then it cleared a little bit, we got some photos, and then it got foggy again. So I ended up there's one bar
Wow.
in Hyder, and I used my inReach again to text my sister-in-law to message our one friend that we knew in Hyder on Instagram and ask her to open the bar for us. So she did,
Oh
and so
my
I got
god.
confirmation through my satellite phone that the bar would open at 1 p.m., and we were like, "Alright, awesome." We, like, drove down the mountain, we went to this, like, bear viewing area, and then we went to the bar and
That's
they opened the
amazing.
bar just for this couple, like, it was
Oh my
awesome,
god.
and it was really sweet because the Hider and, like, that bar and the businesses have all really struggled since COVID because of all the restrictions, and
Yeah.
so this couple, like, 14 people coming in and using the bar and, like, they bought a lot of alcohol. It's really
Yeah, it
good.
was the highlight of the year
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, exactly, like, it was really good for the bar, and the people in the town kept thanking us, and it was just really cute, and it was fall 2021, so it was when I was pregnant, and we had been considering the name Hyder, and after that whole experience, we were like, "We love this town so much, like, we love the name," and yeah, so
That's
we told it was really
perfect.
cute because we hadn't told anyone the name yet, but we told the people at the bar that we were gonna name her Hyder, and they were all so excited, so
I mean, they probably
yeah.
cry,
So it was like it was a great day, but
but
it
I
was very
no, that's
stressful.
great.
The lack of service and the fact that, like, we couldn't drive into Canada because once we drove into Canada, we couldn't go back into Hyder. I don't know. It was, like, really stressful.
I mean, is I no service and fog and COVID and how can you do
Yeah.
that? Probably no, you need to be in two, so at least you support each other. Otherwise, if you're alone, you go.
Yeah.
But I thought that you're about to say the one. Oh, I remember. But with this one, I felt in love with you guys. The one that you were hanging
Well, and then
in the middle of.
yeah.
on the net. Can you explain this a little bit? Because I saw their wedding and they said, okay, they are gonna be they're like my idols photographer
That
forever
one,
after this one.
yeah.
Like, first question, you weren't scared to look
Oh, I
down?
was totally scared. Yeah, the whole time I was out there, I was like, "This is
Please
horrifying." Yeah, I mean,
describe this
I
wedding.
felt safe because I trusted the gear, but it was still like standing on the net, you're truly just still in 400 feet of nothingness below you. Like, you're not.
How tall you were? Like, do you remember? You were in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah,
canyons.
it's okay.
Where?
So it's
Where was
right
it?
outside of Canyonlands National Park. It's near Moab. Yeah,
Okay.
it's 400 feet. I don't know what that is in meters. I should know.
You guys they were like on a net in the middle of nowhere to photograph this
Yeah.
elopement.
So that one, it was really fun because the couple was really good friends of ours. And we actually, so the space net is this thing that our friend Andy in Moab, he invented it. And it first was something that he just did with friends. And then it actually kind of became part of
Mm-hmm.
this festival for highlining. And a lot of people like base jump off of it. It's like they parachute from the net and kind of just grew and grew every year. Like literally the net itself grew every year as they added pieces to it. And it's
This
funny because he invented it and he does these like tree nets. Like he has right now at his house in Moab, he has one up in the tree that like Callan and Hyder go play in all the time.
one
But
thing.
then obviously the one over the canyon is this like huge thing. So it kind of became part of this festival that we used to go to. And the year before the net wedding, that couple got engaged on the net, and we just happened to be there taking
Mm-hmm.
photos. So we took photos of their proposal, and then
Yes.
we became friends with them through that. And then a few months later, they kind of started to tell us like what they were planning, that they wanted to get married on the net that year and that they wanted us to shoot it. And we were like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I feel like one thing that's really sweet that a lot of people assume because it was friends of ours and it was such a cool wedding that we did it for free, but they actually did pay us because they really were like, we still value you. We want to hire you.
Abby.
And so that meant a lot to us.
Yes.
But yeah, so it was like they ended up doing it a few days before the actual festival so that it would just be like their community there. And it was
Yes.
crazy. Like, there were so many people involved. The net itself, they ended up building it so that you could just walk out onto it instead of having to highline or, like, shimmy across the rope. And she
You were attached to
Yes,
something for
I was. Yeah,
safety.
totally. I always had
Okay, you were. The
the
couple, no.
couple okay, so they didn't have harnesses on, but they had ankle leashes on.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where it
Okay.
was like, yeah, if it all fell apart, they probably wouldn't die, but you don't wanna be hanging by your foot. But
That
I
is
guess it's better
painful
than
and in a
nothing.
way.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, they had everyone in the community got so excited about it and everyone got really involved. So, like, the friend that invented the space net, he was the officiant. They had a bunch of people. They had people hanging down from the net doing, like, aerobic stuff, like silks, and they had multiple different people that
Wow.
were base jumpers that had, like, little tutus on and, like, cute outfits and, like,
Wow.
biodegradable confetti in their parachute, so as soon as they, like, kissed and the wedding was over, like, all these jumpers jumped off the cliffs all around them, and it was, like, really cool and exciting. So, it was super fun. We ended up hiring a friend to be a 3rd shooter with us because we were like, we just need as
Yes.
much coverage as we can get for this. Callan was on the net with them, close up getting photos. I was running
Okay.
around getting photos from the cliff sides. And then our friend was also, she
Yes.
was like on this far away cliff getting like big wide photos and action photos of the jumpers. So it was very fun.
That's
Yeah.
that wedding was
Yeah.
epic. I saw the photos and went like,
It was so
you
fun.
did it. Courage and go for it. And I think that wedding maybe like that wedding
I
went
did.
viral. It was everywhere, and
Yeah.
I remember it was like, okay, I feel like that wedding established your business. Like,
Yeah.
they owned the mountains. They know how to photograph an elopement on a net of so many meters high, so they can do
Totally.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
So
wedding is a
bravi.
perfect example of I think any successful business is so dependent on hard work and being ready to make the most of your little lucky breaks. So, like, everyone gets lucky breaks throughout their business, and some people just let them pass by, and some people, like, know how to
Yeah.
capitalize on them. And so for us, that was one example of something that it was pretty lucky that I mean, it was lucky, but it was also, like, because we were friends with these people. Like, we were in the community.
You took the opportunity to do
Exactly.
it. I don't like that you
Yeah.
use the word lucky. You work hard for it. And
Yeah.
opportunity comes and then you
Right.
take
And
it.
we made the most of it. And
So,
like, I worked really hard
brava,
to push those photos out and get those photos to go viral. That was a huge part of the process
brava.
that the couple also wanted, and we worked together to make that happen. And yeah, so it was really cool because it was this huge step in our business. It got our Instagram grew a lot from that. And it's funny, I literally still just a week ago, I got an inquiry from someone that was like, "I wanna get married on that space net." And I was like, I had to explain, like, it's not this thing that's just always up there. Like, it's in Andy's backyard right now. It's not,
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
available for use?
When
It
was
was
it? 2018?
2017. It was November 2017.
17. It was in the same year that you really, that was your
Yeah.
year in business. Come on, you guys. I'm so proud of
Yeah.
you. And man, why? You got a
Yeah.
baby. When she
She was born
born?
December 2021, so she's a little over 2 years old.
Okay. Okay. And you have to tell me how is running a business because we work so hard. And I always like we talk with Vic about, oh, what about you have a baby? But I am scared because we travel and we have the baby business that we go with so many pain and tears and everything, and we're scared to let it go. But on the other side, life is also made by having babies and see what come out between you two.
Yeah.
And please tell me everything, good and bad.
So, I feel like It it is my favorite thing we've ever done, 100%. I was not a big, like, baby person before. I didn't really like children or like playing with them. I just was always intimidated by it, and I didn't have very many
Me
I didn't
too.
have very many kids in my life, so I was like, "I don't know how to do this."
Me too.
None of our friends had kids. Yeah, so that was all I mean, that part of it was very intimidating to me, and of course, like you said, our business is my baby, like, that the reason it's been so successful is because that's what I've been focused on for all of these years. So it's very scary to think of taking
Yes,
that and adding something that's totally different, that's not profitable, like, you don't do it to make money.
of
Yeah.
course.
So, I mean, we went back and forth a lot and ended up there was a lot of reasons we decided we wanted to have Hyder, but a big part of it was just kind of like you said, we felt like moving forward, this is what we wanted our life to be. And we felt like we had a
Okay.
lot of fun getting to this point, and we were more like, we want to now share that with someone else. We love the idea of this being a challenge. We love the idea of what this means for the rest of our lives. And we always pictured ourselves grown up with grown up children. And we were like, I guess you have to have a baby to do that.
Yes, yeah, sure. Because the other
Right.
doesn't count. The baby is of your friend.
Yeah. So we thankfully, when once we decided we wanted to have a kid, we were able to have her pretty soon after that. And it was
Fantastic.
definitely
And you were living in you were still living in a van? You're on the road, or
no,
you're
we had a
having like
house
a
in Utah at this point. So we
oh,
bought our house in
okay.
Moab. And when we bought our house in Moab,
Okay.
we still lived part time on the road for a while. And then it got down to the point
Okay.
where we were just living in Moab and then driving to Alaska every summer. And so
How far is
ugh,
that?
55 hours. It's
Hours.
so far. It's all the way through Canada. It's so far.
You do Italy 5 times
Yeah,
back
we
and
did
forth?
it. We did it
Maybe
6 summers
more.
in a row. Or no, maybe 5 summers in a row we drove. So, yeah, so we had Hyder, we had this house in Moab, and we actually did the drive to Alaska and lived in the camper with her the summer when she was, like, 6
Mhm.
months old to 8 months old, and so that was really fun, but after that, we were like, "We need to get a house in Alaska. We can't keep doing this."
Yes.
So, we it was, like, partially because of her, partially just because we were sick of the drive and felt more confident we wanted
Yeah,
to live up
makes
there every
sense.
summer, and the timing felt right, so now we have a house in Alaska.
You are a
Yeah,
human.
exactly. Now we have a house in Alaska, June through September, we live there. But, yeah, I mean, having
How is managing the business? How much time do you dedicate to the business? And like you have hours, or somebody that is helping you, or you editing with the baby?
Yeah.
Please
So it's
share.
definitely a balance, but like I said early in our business, Callan, when we lived on the road, Callan managed like all of our road life. He did most of the driving. He chose where we were going to camp, like all of that. Anyone that's lived on the road knows that alone is like a full-time job to manage just logistics of life on the road. When we moved into a house, he kind of felt a little bit aimless because he was like, a lot of our logistics are taken care of. He still has taken on
Yeah.
like he makes most of our meals, he does a lot of the cleaning, it's still a lot of the house management stuff, but it was a lot less once we got in a
Mm-hmm.
house. So now, one of the things that we talked about a lot and agreed upon before having a kid was he's the primary parent. So he is out with her right now. Thankfully, with our job, I have so much control over how much I work or when I work. So the majority of the time, we both are getting to parent her and we're both with her or we're both doing something. But a lot of the time that I'm working, Callan is taking care of Hyder. So
Wow.
that's kind of our balance. And then we do have a babysitter in Moab. So when we're shooting, she's getting babysat. And then we try and use our babysitter like at least once a week for us to have time that we can go on a hike or something like that too. But yeah, I feel like I definitely
Fantastic.
envy people that have family locally that take care of their kids. Like a lot
Yeah.
of our friends live close to their parents and their parents like watch their kid once a week or something and we don't have that. But our parents do travel to us and watch Hyder a
Bravi.
few times a year too. So that's a huge blessing and definitely something that we really appreciate. But yeah,
Time for yourself
totally.
too. And now these mommy vibes, it comes to you after having a
Yes.
baby, or you feel like he's more. I want to say he's better in a way that he's approaching the baby than you.
So
Maybe I want to know because I feel like you. I feel like when I see baby, I got scared.
yeah,
I don't know what to do.
so in my experience, it's completely different with your own baby. And truly, I feel like one of the amazing things is like going through pregnancy is almost a year-long process of your body quite literally
Mhm.
preparing itself to parent a child. Like your hormones, like everything is preparing you to do that. So I remember within like just a few days of Hyder being born, there was this moment where she was kind of fussing. And I just picked her up and shushed her and patted her and rocked her in this way that I immediately was like, I was never taught to do this, but my body just knew what to do to comfort her. And even just, it's so cool because like just my presence brought her comfort. And that's something that now I truly like
Oh,
I am a wonderful, nurturing, loving mother, and I never knew I could be that,
fantastic.
but it's so cool to have that bond with her, and she runs to me when she's sad, she cuddles up to me when she's sleepy, like, she sees me as her safe space, and I know how to be that for her, and it's incredible. It's very cool.
Are you telling me that I have a
Yes,
hope?
you do.
There is a hope in
Yes.
my life.
Yeah, I truly think how you feel around other people's babies has absolutely nothing to do how you would feel around your own baby.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love to hear that. Listen, I have one more question for you, even though we speak 5 hours
Okay.
together, but we found the time to see each other. What comes next? How do you see plan, goals, life, business,
I
things?
mean, we have one of my favorite things about Callan and I is we are always dreaming about stuff. We always are talking about ideas. I feel like we've had a million ideas over the years, and some of them have been really good ones, and some have not been good ones. But
Yeah, of
where
course.
we're at right now, I mean, we truly just love our life and we love focusing so much time on Hyder because she's changing every day and we have so much fun with her and we feel like we're never going to have this time with her back, but we could always build our business or do, like all the other options are things we can always do. But this time with her is not something we always have the opportunity to do. Right now, we really are just focused on we love our job, we shoot what we can,
Mhm.
and we shoot in Moab and Alaska, and then we do little road trips. But so much of it, pretty much every decision we make is focused on our time with Hyder and what that's going to look like, and then our time together. So that's what we're excited about right now.
That's amazing. That's amazing to
Yeah,
hear. Like the priority change and the business is there, but you genuinely want to stay with
yeah,
her.
yeah. It's so cool.
But and have a little bit of life
Hmm.
back. I feel like, sometimes I think about maybe if I have a baby, it's forcing me to stop to work. Otherwise, I keep on working and
Totally.
working. So,
I
uh,
know, it's scary because I mean, I will say, like, I talked about how much I loved
scary.
Instagram and, like, blogging and all that, and now those are things that I feel more like, I do still love them, but more I feel like I have to do it to keep up my business, and that's just because I don't have a ton of free time anymore, so I have to be intentional about my time, but it's good. I feel like it's made
Focus.
me a better employee and business person. Like I am so much more focused now. I have way more clear goals and I almost like now understand the purpose of what I'm doing. And I also think since having Hyder, I mean, I
Wow.
don't think having a kid is necessary for this, but I know for me, it's made me a way better photographer because I even feel like my connection to our clients is so much stronger and I value, like, I just see them and I see them as I don't know, like, people that are so valuable and special, and we've always really loved our bond with our clients, that something about this new phase of motherhood has really changed how I see just the people around me and definitely how I photograph them and how I observe love and, like, all of those things. It's been so cool.
You're such a wonderful person. Wow. My gosh. You're like sweet and kind and more people like you in this
Oh my
world,
gosh.
please. Okay, like I want to say before to say ciao, I want to say everybody how they found you on Instagram is the main channel that everybody love. Let me try to say it, and you correct me if
Okay,
it's wrong. If I'm sure it's wrong. The
you're
Hearns,
correct. Yeah,
the
be
Hearn,
Hearns.
the
Yeah.
Ecos. The
Yep.
Hearns, please follow them because every day you open, you see their adventure. They take you in an amazing adventure. It's not just, oh, we are here. Look how cool is that. You take us along your journey, and this is
Oh my
incredible.
gosh.
Thank you so much. And actually, you should come to photograph with Lake Como. There is amazing hikes that I never did because I'm lazy bear. But please come to Italy, and not even for work. Come for
Yeah, I
holidays.
would love that so much. It'd be very fun. We went to the Alps a few years ago in the winter and we loved it, but we really want to come back in the summer sometime and I feel like it's a great place
Fun.
to go with Hyder.
Yes, yes. Hider food,
Yeah.
summer vibes, holiday. Everything you need. So I'm waiting for you really here. You can stay with us and have fun together. That's what I love.
Awesome. Same for you. Come to Moab or Alaska.
Okay. Yeah, I have to come. Oh, I have choice there. I love it. Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Ciao, Bella.